Welcome to the farm.
Welcome to the farm. I'm Justin, and today we're back on our Duramax again. Now this has been a very long process. I think I'm 2.5 months into this. I'm not a mechanic, so I am doing the best I can with the knowledge I have. And I only work on this part-time, a little bit here and there on the weekends. So a project this big is taking me a long time. But we're to an exciting point. We're getting to the point where we can start putting some big parts back on this engine. The first thing we're going to put on is the intake. But before I do that, I think I'm going to take a little bit of time and I'm going to try to prime the fuel system since I have all the fuel lines hooked up now. And I just want to see if I have any leaks before I go ahead and put a whole bunch of other parts on. Because right now, all the fuel lines are pretty easy to access. All right, so to bleed the fuel system, the first thing I need to do is open up this bleeder valve here. Loosen that up. And then I should be able to just pump. And it's going to take a while since I don't have the fuel filter full, and it's got to come all the way from the tank, and the lines are probably pretty empty. So we're just going to get to pumping. So now we got fuel up to the filter housing. Filter's full. I'm going to just kind of keep pumping, try to see if I can't get fuel through the whole system. I was going to break the injectors loose and see if I could get fuel coming out by the injectors, but there's a few of them I can't even get a wrench on anymore because other parts are in the way. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep pumping and just see if we have any leaks. This isn't a full test because we're not going to be under the same pressure we would be if the engine was running and fuel pumps and stuff were running, but it'll give me a little bit of peace of mind before we put the rest of the parts on. Alright, so I've been pumping for a while now. I don't see any leaks anywhere. I think I feel confident enough to move on, and hopefully we don't have any issues later. Alright, so to get ready for the intake, I'm just going to take a rag with some brake clean on it, clean up the mating surface a little bit. So we can start getting our intake itself prepped, and with my new gasket set, we have all new seals for the intake. So we're going to go ahead and start by popping all those out. And then we're just going to give this thing a real good cleaning. Alright, so I got the intake crossover tube cleaned up pretty good. Surfaces, inside, scrubbed down the best I could. Let's go ahead and put in all our sealing surfaces. All right, so the next thing I need to do is get prepped to slide this thing in. So I'm gonna start my nuts on my studs down there. Just very, very loosely threading them on. And I'm also going to start the bolts down at the bottom the same way. And then I should, hopefully, be able to slide that right in. And it will not go with the bolts in. So I got the intake in place. I was not able to slide it in with the nuts on, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way to get those nuts started and the lower bolts started. On the front side here, I don't think it's gonna be horrible. On the back side, it's gonna be a trick. So I'm gonna attempt to put a piece of electrical tape over the nut, stick that in the socket, and that should hopefully hold it in place so I can get them started. All right, that's one started. With the intake in, we can go ahead and reinstall this band clamp. So up next, we're going to do the thermostat crossover tube. We'll start by cleaning off this surface here and replacing this O-ring.
I remember when we were taking this apart that this crossover tube came out pretty easily. Unfortunately, going back in, it fought me. Things were just binding up and not sliding in place the way they should. I cut a lot of that footage out because it was just a lot of me trying to put the thing in, taking it back out, trying to put it in again, take it back out, approach it a little bit of a different angle, take it back out, until finally it just clicked into place.
So now we can install the oil fill tube. So now we can go ahead and work on our AC bracket, which I believe should sit right in here-ish. I'm going to pull this pulley back off so I can get at where my studs go.
Just like the thermostat crossover tube, this bracket did not want to go in place for me. I struggled for a long time to line up these studs, but I finally got them in place, and then everything else bolted in real nice and easy.
So up next we install the bracket for the alternator. So the next thing my manual wants us to install is the EGR, but I remember from taking it apart that I would not be able to get at all of this in here, if that EGR is in there. So we're going to go ahead and do the turbo intake first. So now with that air intake tube installed, we can go ahead and install our EGR, starting with this hose. All right, so now we got to try to get the other part of the EGR installed. So I got to get a gasket. down here. Let that sit on top.
This section of the EGR was another part that just fought me today. It was such a pain in the butt to try to line up all 6 bolts and all 3 gaskets. What you see in a couple minutes took me over an hour just to get lined up and bolted in place. It was not fun.
All right, well, I finally got that EGR in place. Today was a pain in the butt. Every single part I put on today fought me hard. I don't know why. I must be just having a bad day, hoping that's all it is, but I did not get anywhere near as far as I was hoping to get today. I was hoping in the next video that we'd be buttoning things up and trying to start this thing. It's not looking likely, but we did make progress. Things got on. We got hopefully some of the harder stuff out of the way. So hopefully some of these bigger parts that are left will go on a lot easier. Hopefully you guys learned something. I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.